Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for this webinar on storytelling. My name is Scott Meeks, and I'm the Communications Manager for National PTA. This is part one of a two-part webinar series we'll be doing for you this week. This webinar today is titled How to Tell a Story Through Video. Part two is Wednesday, and that's about how to tell a story visually on social media. That one will be hosted and led by my colleague here at National PTA, Ashley Collier. Ashley is our Associate Manager of Digital Communications, so she's basically our social media guru here at National PTA. We'll be hearing from Ashley a little later on in this webinar. She'll have a little more insight into the video aspects of social media. She'll also share more about what you can expect from her webinar on Wednesday. So let's take a look at what we'll be talking about during this webinar. First, the title of this webinar is, again, How to Tell a Story Through Video. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'll help you identify, produce, and execute these video stories. I know that sounds like a lot, but we'll go step by step because this is a really easy process and it has big time payoffs. Secondly, so we become great storytellers. Where are we going to showcase these stories? This is really important because no matter what your position is within PTA, you can become a video content producer, and you have platforms right at your fingertips where you can showcase these videos. And our third goal is exactly how do we capture these stories? What's really exciting is that you don't need to invest in fancy video cameras or expensive microphones these days to capture your videos. As a matter of fact, you probably already have what you need, and that's a smartphone. Please feel free throughout the webinar to type your questions in the chat box on the right side of your screen, and I can answer a few of them at the end of this webinar. With these three goals in mind, let's get started because my overall goal is for you to leave this webinar with the tools and skills you need to produce a great video as soon as tomorrow if you want. No pressure. Before we get into some of the nitty-gritty of storytelling, though, I want to quickly chat about why we all need to be better storytellers. We hear so much these days about the power of storytelling, but I want to explain to you why and how video storytelling techniques can benefit your PTA. And let's be clear, when we say the word story or use the word storytelling, we're talking about your story, the story of your PTA and its members. And we'll be telling these stories in a way that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. We're all familiar with stories. It's one of the first things we probably remember as kids. Bedtime stories, stories our parents or grandparents told us, stories we may have heard in church or in school. Let's take Cinderella, for example. We remember that story because it has a very strong character, many characters actually, and it was emotional and it had a nice message. It's important to understand that if your story, like Cinderella's, is emotional and it leaves an impression, then that works really well if you're, let's say, trying to grow your membership, or maybe you're trying to showcase a really great event you're putting on, or maybe you're trying to get more parents to take part in Take Your Family to School Week. Good stories make an impression because humans are emotional. We're much more likely to remember something if it makes us happy or sad or anxious or whatever else the case might be. Storytelling actually connects information and emotion. And that's what we're going to do with the videos we produce, because those videos will help you do everything we just talked about, from growing membership to growing engagement. With that said, let's watch a story. The video I'm about to show you is one that National PTA produced a few years ago as part of our Every Child in Focus initiative. It's called What is Foster Care? And as you watch this video, look for the characters, look for a theme, and look for the message or messages that stand out.
I think it's probably different in a lot of ways than we thought, and better in a lot of ways than we thought. I'd say the first weekend that we got into it, we were really overwhelmed and thought it wasn't for us.
It's scary at first. You know, you go from having a routine with your own kid and they know you and they know how things work, and you get along and exist really well, and then all of a sudden you throw a fireball in there and you have no idea what's going to happen.
It takes a really well-balanced, strong person to be a foster parent and to truly believe in the value of fostering, whether temporarily or over the long run. The way that I say it is we ask you to take a child into your home and your heart and love them as if they were your own, and then give them back.
foster care is not meant to keep families apart. They want to reunite families after they have done whatever it is they need to do to become a whole family again. Whatever tore them apart or whatever reason they came into foster care, the agencies work with a biological family to help them become whole again. And when that process is completed, then reunification can take place.
The foster care system is a system that's meant to essentially remove children and provide protection for them when their living circumstances are deemed very unsafe for them to be in. You have to believe that there's a value to fostering in and of itself. That parenting a child over a temporary period of time, there's a greater good attached to that.
My job as a foster parent, I'm working with the PTA and the school, is to work collaboratively to help build a strong foundation for that foster youth. You can't raise a foster child alone. The foster parent has to understand it's a team effort. With the social worker, the teacher, the principal, the medical professionals, it's a team effort. So that's really important for a foster parent to learn. Foster care is an opportunity to make a big difference in a child's life. If you ever want to make a difference in your community, foster caring is an opportunity to do that.
I always say, if we did it all over again, we would still do it. It's better than it is hard. As hard as it is sometimes, it's better than it is hard.
So there you go. Again, that was a video that National PTA produced a few years ago, and in my opinion, it's an absolutely beautiful video for a few reasons. It was well shot, well edited, and extremely well put together. And I think it's important for me to say that this is not exactly the type of video I'm expecting you to put together after this webinar, but it is a great kind of goal video. The characters are really easy to point out in this video. There were actually a few standouts. The foster mom and dad were great, they were endearing, they were funny, and we remember them. And you probably also remember Sam, the foster care parent and PTA leader. Sam was able to kind of bridge that gap between the new foster care parents and the interview with the foster care woman who was simply presenting the facts about foster care. So our characters are set. I hope you found them as well. The point here is that when you're thinking about covering an event or topic for your PTA, put some thought into your characters or who you're going to interview. One or two really good interviews is much better and more efficient time-wise than a bunch of people just kind of spitting out facts. The next thing that makes this a good story is the actual story itself. We have the foster care parents who were kind of apprehensive and scared at first. They even said they were overwhelmed, but by the end they couldn't imagine their lives without their foster care child. The theme is actually the title of the piece, which I gave away at the beginning, What is Foster Care? But I think you could probably pick up on that even if I didn't tell you. This piece did exactly that. It let us know exactly what foster care is. It's hard, it's scary, it means something to the community, it's rewarding, it's a lot of things. Now the most memorable message, I think, and this is the part that really got to me as a storyteller, is when the mom said, it's better than it is hard. And I thought that was just terrific because we always want to leave people with something memorable, and that definitely stuck with me. So there you have it, 3 very important elements of a good story. There are others, but I think characters, a theme, a plot, and or a message are great starting points for anyone who is looking to tell a good story. So I think this might be a good time to tell you a little bit about me. It's kind of my story, Scott's story, and why I'm here telling you about storytelling today. I spent about 20 years as a reporter and producer for local news stations around the country before coming to PTA. And it was very early in my career that the TV station where I worked brought in a consultant to tell us about the art of storytelling. I remember very clearly thinking that this was such baloney. How and why would a reporter like me need to tell a story? I actually remember being extra offended when the consultant started talking about the characters in my story. I thought, these aren't characters, these are people, these are my interviews, and besides, why would I need to tell a story about something like an ordinance that City Council was talking about? I do just the facts, right? Well, I quickly did a turnaround, being able to identify good interviews or characters who could tell me why the zoning ordinance was or wasn't good for their neighborhood quickly made my reporting better, stronger, and more memorable. Viewers remembered the woman I talked to who said that she might have to move because of this ordinance. Viewers not only remembered, but some of them were motivated to learn or take action. So I actually spent the better part of my career constantly striving to tell good and important and impactful stories. Once I made the switch to the association world, I clearly saw how I could transfer those skills to growing awareness, membership, and everything else we all strive for at our PTAs. So that's the Cliff Notes version on me and why I'm chatting with you today about storytelling. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is platforms. By that I mean, where will we be showcasing these amazing videos that we're producing? Well, you might think it's a little premature to talk about that, but these days there are actually storytelling functions that are tied to the platforms, and we'd be crazy not to take advantage of those. Of course, I'm talking about social media. Let's talk about Facebook and Instagram first. Instagram actually has a video function called Your Story. The types of videos we can create here are not edited like the foster care video I just showed you. These are more straightforward. People talking into the camera and either answering questions or telling their stories straight to the lens. We found this extremely useful here at National PTA, and you can too. The example that pops into my head first is a PTA Live that we did just a few weeks ago during Teacher Appreciation Week. I was hosting a PTA Live, which is what we call our Facebook Live shows, and I was at an event where we just awarded a big prize to a PTA and school in California. I wanted to capture the energy of the event, but I also wanted to let people know why we were there and how the PTA came to win the prize. So here's what we did.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Scott Meeks. I'm the Communications Manager for National PTA, and I'm not at our headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia right now. I am actually in Alhambra, California at the Martha Baldwin School, where we just had an amazing party. We celebrated the Martha Baldwin School PTA, who won our Google Express Make a Teacher contest. So the teachers all just kind of gathered in here. We just announced it to them, and it was so much fun. And I'm just going to kind of walk around. Well, actually, first I kind of show you what we did. Let me flip the camera. There we go. We got balloons going on here, cookies, lots of sugar. But how cute are these cupcakes? I have to show you. They got the PTA logo on them and the Google Express logo. I mean, come on. And then all the prizes, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I'm going to walk over here to talk to this amazing lady.
Oh, hello.
How are you doing? Oh, and her daughter.
Yes, hi.
Tell us who you are.
I'm Donna Yip, and I'm the president of the Martha Baldwin School PTA, and I'm thrilled because our school won the grand prize for the hashtag Make a Teacher contest sponsored by PTA.
Yes. So tell us about your entry into that contest. Very special entry.
Oh, okay. Well, our teachers help out at our fundraisers and different events, and I've taken some pictures. My daughter Grace that just took off.
Yeah.
Helping put together a collage of pictures, and we posted it on the hashtag Make a Teacher. We put it on social media. I submitted a 100-word essay talking about how our teachers go over and above what they're required to do in the classroom. They volunteer their own personal time to help at our fundraisers, at our Teacher Night, at our carnival, at our Applebee's Flapjack fundraiser. And so because of their hard work, our PTA is able to flourish, and we're just so thankful and grateful to them.
And so the teachers were really shocked today when we brought them into the cafeteria.
Yes. It was very hard to keep it a secret, especially since last week we hosted our Teacher Appreciation Luncheon. But yes, I think they were very surprised and very pleased with all the wonderful things that Google Express has provided for us.
Well, thank you so much for entering the contest, and happy Teacher Appreciation Week to you.
Well, thank you, National PTA, for sponsoring the contest, selecting my entry, and for just and to Google Express for sponsoring the whole event as well. Thank you very, very much.
Well, you're welcome, and congratulations. We're in the cafeteria, like I just said, and I'll just kind of repeat. We just had all the teachers, they were in a faculty meeting, and then we kind of set up in here. We had balloons and cupcakes, and we wanted it to be a surprise. So when they were done with their faculty meeting, they just kind of moseyed on in, and we were all here to surprise them with all the prizes. And I want to talk to some other very special people, like Google Express, because they sponsored the contest, and they supplied all these goodies. So you're over here. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Can you please introduce yourselves?
Hello there. My name's Ebony. I'm from the Google Express team. And I'm Gabrielle. I work with Ebony on the Google Express team.
And tell us a little bit about what these teachers got today.
Yes, so because Martha Baldwin is the grand prize winner, we have for them, these are just part of the things that they actually won. So they won like a ninja blender, let's see, a can opener. Also, they really wanted.
And we can't forget this stuff.
Big screen TV.
Yeah, and a Keurig.
Oh yeah, Keurig.
And like
everyone needs coffee.
Yes, and like you said, these are just some of the things that they wanted, but more is on the way.
More is on the way. So this is just part of what they want.
Well, we want to say thank you to you guys for sponsoring the
Yeah, you're
contest
so welcome.
and all of these like fun prizes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, pretty good stash of stuff over there, don't you think? I want to say we had two grand prize winners, and I want to make sure I get this right. The other grand prize winner is the Fullerton PTA in Addison, Illinois. So a big congratulations to you guys too. You know, this was such a fun event here in Alhambra, California. I don't know if I said that, but the Martha Baldwin School is in Alhambra, California, and we've just been enjoying our time here, meeting the teachers, meeting the other PTA leaders here, and it's a great way to celebrate our Think a Teacher contest and our National Teacher Appreciation Week. So from Alhambra, California, I'm Scott Meeks, the Communications.
So I did want to just kind of mention there off the top, you may have noticed a little bit of video lag. And what I was doing is I was just kind of shooting some random video while the signal kind of picked up and made sure that the signal strength was strong, because I have spent way too many times looking into the camera going, are we live? Are we live? And so to avoid that, I was just shooting some video. So that's what that was. Now back to what the actual content of that video. As you saw, how did we share Donna Yip's story on video? Well, we walked right over to her during a Facebook Live session and asked her point blank, tell us your story. I don't think it can get any more low maintenance than that. Now that video scored over 1,700 views, by the way, and you can do this on Facebook and Instagram. You can be your own content producer. Now I want to bring in my colleague now, Ashley Collier. As I said earlier, Ashley is our Associate Manager of Digital Communications. Ashley, if we're simply gathering or telling stories on Facebook or Instagram, what should we keep in mind?
Sure, thank you, Scott. I would say my number one tip is to be authentic. If what we're doing seems too rehearsed, it's probably not going to resonate with viewers. So for example, let's say your PTA was just awarded a School of Excellence designation, and you're doing a Q&A with some parents and teachers about how it came to be. Preparation is key, and we encourage that. So let them know what the questions are, but don't rehearse the answers too much. Let it be spontaneous, let it be emotional, and let it be authentic. Secondly, remember that facts are important. So tell your PTA members about the PTA Reflections program and how to register in an Instagram video. But also don't forget to tell them how you feel about the program or why you're so passionate about it too. These individual nuggets of personal reactions really help to tell your story, and ultimately the story of great programs like Reflections. So I would say my last tip is to also watch other stories on Facebook and on Instagram. There are a lot of PTAs out there that are doing a really great job and producing really great things. They're showcasing their members, their parents, their teachers, and their kids. They're telling PTA's story every day, and they're not professional journalists or filmmakers. They're passionate PTA members with a smartphone and a few social media accounts. So like you said earlier, Scott, you can do this. We all can do this.
Thank you, Ashley. We'll actually hear a little more from Ashley later as she tells us more about what's coming up in part 2 of this webinar series on Wednesday. I did want to mention that YouTube now has a simplified live function. I'm eager to explore that in the next few months, but you can also store or house the videos that you produce on YouTube, Facebook, or even on your own website. Those can certainly be hubs for your stories as well. Finally, let's talk tech. But before we get into that, I want to show you our final video. I like this video because it's really PTA story. So let's take a look. Alrighty, a quick reminder, if you have any questions for me, type them in the box to the right side of your screen and I'll get to them at the end of this webinar. So this part of the webinar is really about some of the technical needs you should consider if you want to bump up your storytelling techniques. But I will say the video you just saw is a good example of how you can tell a good story through photos and words. Sometimes you really can work with just what you have. As a matter of fact, that's a great place to start. So let's get back to the tech stuff. Here I'm going to let you in on my top 3 tech choices for taking your storytelling to the next level. The video you just saw was not produced with elaborate editing software or even a production company. It was produced by me via a website called Animoto. This website basically creates video timelines, so all you need to do is drop in photos, and yes, you can also drop in videos. Then you move those pictures and photos around on the timeline to create the sequence you want. There are also built-in templates so you can create graphics, and there are also themes so you can have bold colors or school type templates or sportsy templates. It really is great. There's also a really huge music library. So I'm not trying to sell you on Animoto specifically. Animoto is a paid service, but the point is you don't have to buy super expensive editing software to edit your videos. If you snoop around, do some Google searches, you'll find there are websites out there that will really help you and not only tell a better story, but it'll take your finished product to the next level. Oh, and search for apps too. As you probably know, sometimes you can edit right on your phone. How awesome is that? Okay, so that is editing. The second item I'd invest in is a small tripod for your smartphone. And clearly, I'm going on the assumption that many of you are shooting with your smartphones. So a tripod will give you a little more freedom to do interviews. Plus, it'll cut down on the shakiness of your shot. More importantly, when you're shooting without a tripod, you're likely not looking at your subject directly because you're managing your shot. And that sort of causes a disconnect. That's not a good thing when you're trying to connect with your interview and hopefully bring out some emotion. With a tripod, you can set the shot, look your subject in the eye, and just peek over at your screen every once in a while to make sure everything is still centered. So an inexpensive tripod is not only good for function, but it will also improve the quality of the types of interviews and video you get. These tripods run from $15 to $50 on Amazon, so they're not expensive at all, and they're well worth the investment. Finally, my third, final, and most important tip, buy a microphone. Again, you can purchase microphones on Amazon for as cheap as 15 bucks. They plug right into your smartphone and they will really improve the quality of your audio. Now, a lot of smartphones actually have very good built-in microphones, but I think a separate plug-in microphone is a good idea because its sole job is to capture the audio of your interview subject. And if you have someone who is telling you their story, then you need to make sure you can hear them, right? Sometimes if we're interviewing people at an event without a separate mic, we only hear the crowd or the music at the event. If we're outside, maybe there's a distracting bird or sounds of traffic that might get in the way. Being able to really hear the person you're interviewing is very important, especially if we're trying to build a story around that interview. So to recap, do some research and find an inexpensive website that can help you bump up your editing, and consider purchasing an inexpensive tripod and microphone as well. Well, hold on just a second here. My script just bumped up a little bit. Sorry about that. Give me a second to kind of get back in order. Well, that wraps up my thoughts on how to tell a story through video. I really hope you learned a few things here today that will help you go out and tell some stories about your PTA. I want to see your stories. If you're sending them out, if you're sending anything out on social media, please remember to use the hashtag PTA Proud. That way I can see them and share them, and so can other PTAs. We all want to know and learn from each other. So I'll check really quickly to see if there are any questions that have popped up. And I don't see any. So I'll check. So National PTA's Associate Manager of Digital Communications is going to join us again for a quick look at what you can expect in part 2 of this webinar series.
Hi everyone, it's Ashley. So we're really excited to bring you this two-parter this week, and we know that a lot of you who are listening right now are also signed up for our webinar on Wednesday. I'll be focusing my webinar specifically on social media and storytelling on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. These are all important avenues of communication for your PTA, and we want to make sure you're doing it in the most effective way possible. So I bet that most of you are already on Facebook, but if you're not on Twitter or Instagram yet, I'd love for you to set up an account before Wednesday's webinar, so we have a little bit of homework if you're joining us. It's not necessary, but I think it will help you get a better idea of what we're talking about during that webinar. A couple of other things that we'll be highlighting are storytelling and blogging, and our hashtag PTA Proud campaign, which I think many of you guys are really familiar with. So if you're not already signed up, please do. Again, it's Wednesday, June 14th at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ashley. And thanks again to everyone who participated in today's webinar. Again, my name is Scott Meeks, and I'm the Communications Manager here at National PTA. If you have any questions about this webinar or video storytelling, I'm always available at smeeks@pta.org. We hope to see you for Wednesday's webinar. Have a great day.